Today we're going to be learning how to plant a rose bush. First we need to gather our supplies. We need a shovel, a rake, some compost and some fertilizer, of course our rose bush, a watering hose, and a wheelbarrow. Once we have all our supplies gathered, we need to make sure that the rose bush is nice and moist before we go and put it in the plant. We just want to take the rose bush and press along the soil that's around it. If it feels wet and some of the dirt sticks to your fingers, you know it's good. Next, we need to pick a good spot to plant our rose bush. Here, we've selected a good spot. It has nice, good sunlight most of the day. It has a good runoff from the house when it rains, so it's nice and moist. And it's kind of up against the wall, so it's going to be protected from some of the other elements that are bad for it. Now that we have a good spot picked, we need to prepare the area before we start digging. We just want to make sure that we have all the weeds out of there, any large sticks that may impede us from digging out of the way, and a nice, good, clean area. Now that we've prepared the area, we need to dig a hole that's about 12 inches deep. I've started digging our hole here 12 inches deep. We want it to be a pretty good size hole, a bit large enough to where we can put the entire plant down in there. We want to save the dirt because we're going to mix that with our compost and fertilizer later. Now that we have our hole dig, we need to prepare our dirt. We need to make sure we remove any twigs or rocks that may have been still in that hole. Once we remove those, we can now take some of our compost and mix it about 50-50 with our dirt. This is also a good time if you have any rose bush feed or any extra fertilizer that you want to add that now. You'll want to just use the recommended dosage that's on your particular brand of container. Now that we've added our fertilizer and compost mixed, we want to mix that up so that we're mixing the old dirt with the compost with the fertilizer all together. Now that we have our mixture mixed up, we want to take some of that mixture and we want to fill the bottom of our hole about 1 inch to 1.5 inches deep. We want this mixture to be real loose down in the bottom. Now we're ready to actually plant our rose bush. What we want to do is remove our rose bush from the pot that it came with from the garden store. And we want to take the sides of it and we want to kind of break this up. This is going to allow the roots to grow outwards and down as opposed to just staying put. Once we have that broke up a little, we can put it in our hole. What we're looking for is the little base of our plant right here, of our rose bush. We want that to be even with ground level. So it looks like I need to add a little bit more of our compost mixture. Now I've added a decent amount of compost dirt mixture to make it to where the base of our rose bush is about even with the ground. Now we can go and fill the rest of our hole in with our dirt compost mixture. Now that we've filled our hole up to the base of our plant, we want to press down around it, really packing that in. This is going to remove any air pockets that we may have. Lastly, we want to give our rose bush a nice good soaking. We want to saturate the area around it so there's a nice little puddle. This also is going to get rid of any extra air bubbles that we weren't able to get rid of. As you can see, our puddle has dissipated relatively quickly. That means that the water is getting soaked up by the soil around it, which is going to help our rosebush grow and flourish. Over time, we just want to make sure that we water this about once every 3 to 4 days. Make sure that the soil stays nice and moist. Well, that's how you plant a rosebush. Thanks.